So I think it's pretty clear that Supergirl's kryptonite is stories about Kryptonians or about Krypton, because that's always when the show falters. And unfortunately, I think last night's episode was no exception. Two major problems off the bat, and then we'll get into the best and worst lists. But the first thing is that they missed the point of the original story. The whole point of the original story for the man who has everything was to kind of allow Kal-El or Clark Kent, whichever one you believe is the prime foundation of the character, but for that individual to come to terms with Krypton no longer being around, right? To understand that that's maybe not the ideal situation. And here, they kind of dabbled in that, but it really became more of Alex's story than Kara's story. And I don't know if that was for budgetary reasons. They're like, we can only have so many scenes on Krypton. We can't really leave this room, unfortunately. Or, this room and the sentencing chamber, but that's all we got. But still, I would have preferred much more of a focus on Kara coming to that realization, because she's been building towards it on the show. They've done a really good job, showing how homesick she is, that she really misses her family, understandably, but that it's really kind of, something she can't get past. And that's what this episode was supposed to be about. Now, it might have had that effect, but we didn't get to really see it. It really was about Alex's emotional journey of, understanding that she's the true family of Kara, right? Not like a substitute family or whatever. And also, obviously, coming to terms with maybe not being so nice to her early on in their relationship. But since we've not really seen that, they seemed okay when they flash back to when they were kids, right? Remember that flashback when Helen Slater guested and, they were going for night flying trips? I was like, they seem to get along to me. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, the other thing is, and this is something that, one of you actually mentioned to me, I believe either in the comments of a past video or on Twitter. I think it was BTT viewer Marcus Loera, but it was the problem that this show isn't willing to do multiple episode arcs. And I think that I think it was actually Marcus Loera about this episode, because they could have really used 2 episodes to tell this story, I think, with all of its nuances. So I hope that's something they get over. Maybe it's a network television kind of problem. They want these episodes to be like, somewhat standalone so they can air in syndication and out of order if necessary. But I think if the Supergirl really wants to soar, it's going to have to get over that, because it's just not going to be able to compete with the stories that are able to do multiple episode arcs. All right, so let's get into the best and the worst. I had a little bit of a problem with the best list again, but I was able to fill it. Now, the first thing that I really liked, by the way, I really liked this, which is why it's number 1, I guess, was Angry Kara when she woke up from that dream/nightmare. I thought that was great. I thought that Melissa Benoist did such a good job conveying that anger. You rarely see female characters behave that way, right? They usually are kind of like, crying or teary-eyed or, very melancholy. But just the anger, the fury, and her saying, who did this to me? I just thought that was wonderful. I really, really liked it. So I liked that they gave it to the character, and I liked what Melissa Benoist did with it. Last night was a good acting episode for Melissa Benoist. I gave her a lot of problems for her brief run as Bizarro. She was Bizarro for the beginning of the episode. Then, of course, the role went to another actress, but I didn't think she did a very good job here. But she did a great job here. She did a great job with the anger. I like that Kara is such an angry person, because it's something that Kal-El has never had to deal with. We've discussed this before, but I like that this show depicts her in that manner. I think it's something very relatable. I think, it's like she's like an angry bird. She flies, she's got the red cape, so I think she could go next to Red, but I think that a lot of people can relate to that, and I like seeing that with her. But then the other thing that she did a good job with the acting was that when she was Hank Henshaw disguised as her. I thought Melissa Benoist did a fantastic job, doing what David Harewood does with the character. The body language, the vocal, the speech pattern. It was very, very good. It wasn't as good as some actors I've seen who have, the best I've seen on television was on True Blood when Sam had to pretend to be somebody being him, and he did such a good job. That's the best someone playing you I've ever seen. But this was good. This was very, very good. And it was humorous. As soon as they set it up, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. I wish they'd almost done more with it. So I thought that was very good. Next, third, I liked Win in this episode. I'm glad that he's gotten over their problem. I didn't want that to last for too long. I'm glad that they're friends. It's a nice thing to see two people where it doesn't work out romantically be able to salvage their friendship. He needs to get another love interest, though, to make this. We'll talk about a problem with the show in the worst section, but he came across very well here. I also liked him being at the DEO and helping out, and I loved his joke about if you guys ever have a fire sale, let me know. I thought that was great. I think he'd actually be better used at the DEO than he is at Catco. I think the Catco situation is good, although I thought that I did not like Serious Cat. I was like, oh, you sucked all the fun out of Cat Grant. But I think that Jimmy works really well there. I like that it gives Kara a sense of normalcy. I think that's all very good. I like sometimes the storylines that it brings in. But I think that Win maybe has outlived his usefulness at Catco, and I really would not be opposed to seeing him be recruited by the DEO to go and work there. He had good ideas, right? Come on, Hank. All right, so I had trouble filling out this list, so I decided to give the Kryptonite Sword its own category, because the Kryptonite Sword was very cool, and I think kind of does deserve its own category. How much kryptonite, by the way, is on Earth that they can go and make what looks like multiple swords? Because there are a couple of swords there on the wall. I thought she was going to check it and reveal that it was a kryptonite sword. She should have checked it. What if it was a different sword? But she'd be like, oh crap, sorry, Hank, in the middle of the fight. But it was so cool. I saw it coming. I'm curious to how many of you were surprised when it was the blade, but it was very, very cool. I thought it looked so neat. I thought it looked really great, the way it had the green light on Alex's face, and she looked super cool. I mean, she has like a nice arsenal. Batman would be like, where does she get those wonderful toys? So I thought that was great. I really do like Alex overall as a character, even though she didn't come across particularly well in this episode. And also, let's move over to the final top 5 things of the episode. The goodbye Aunt Astra. I will not be missing her. I wish she took all the other Kryptonians with her. But anyway, I thought that she did get a warrior's death. She was talking about it so much, being like, oh, a warrior's death is okay. If you die a warrior's death, then you don't feel so bad. So I would have been, if I were Alex, I'd be like, you're welcome. Like stabbed through the back and stabbed through the heart with a kryptonite sword. I mean, you can put that on your tombstone and it would be pretty boss. I think I would actually do that for Astra as a favor. I'd be like, went out like a boss. So although I'm glad that she's gone, we're going to lead to a bad, some of you actually mentioned this as well to me on Twitter, a bad takeaway from that, unfortunately, or development. But one of the things that I did like about Aunt Astra is the situation with Non from her perspective. And the idea that an abusive husband is something that maybe you can control. She never could control Non. She couldn't control him as a subordinate militarily. She couldn't control him as a life partner. And I think it was a really good, she just kept letting him go because she liked him. They never explained why she liked him. I mean, I wish that they had showed the complicated aspects of their relationship, because the whole time the show's been on, that we've seen these two characters, you're like, I don't get it, Astra. I really don't get it, Non's not particularly cool. He's not particularly charismatic. He's never nice to you. He's just a total pain in the butt. And you don't seem scared of him either, though. Maybe you are. They never really established that until she was on her deathbed, and then she was like, Non is like super dangerous. But I did like the fact that when you have an abusive husband or an abusive partner, often the person who ends up getting hurt is you, either by their hand or by their actions. And they're just fine. They might even progress as Non does. So I think that being in the proximity of somebody like that, never assume, often the case is that you're the one who gets hurt, even, by deflection. So I thought that was very realistic. And I did appreciate that aspect of the Astra-Non relationship. I even wish it had been played up a little bit more. Then it would have made their being on the show somewhat worthwhile. Also, one other thing I want to say about the Kryptonite sword is that I'm surprised that it actually killed Astra. I guess because it went through her heart, but that was a pretty easy way to kill a Kryptonian. And I would be like, if I were Superman, I'd be like, what just happened? I need like some kind of armor, right? I mean, that was a surprising kill, and that it was effective. Usually when Superman gets exposed to kryptonite, even stabbed with kryptonite, as long as he gets away from it and the kryptonite gets removed from his body, if any of it breaks off, the crossover with DC Legends of Tomorrow, you have the Atom get in there and zap everything away. But then usually he recovers. So this was like a new level of making kryptonite more dangerous, which was good. Although from a writing perspective, how do you justify the fact that Superman still lives? right? Okay, so let's get on to the worst aspects of the show. Now, the first is that Non is now the major Kryptonian villain on the show. And I hate Non. I don't know why Supergirl doesn't kill him already. I mean, she tried. And also, let that satellite fall down. Whatever. There was nobody under it that I could see. I mean, they showed some civilians there, but they didn't seem to be anywhere near the satellite. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. You know, Superman and Supergirl. It's like they always get in trouble because they're always like, oh no, I have to stop like collateral damage. I'd be like, get Non. He's going to destroy the entire Earth. But because they kept dropping hints that there's like their plan is still in action and moving forward, it means we're not done with the Kryptonians, and we probably have another Kryptonian episode coming up. Crap. All right, so I'm not happy about that. Now, the second thing that I didn't like about the episode was, again, as I said, making it about Alex and not Kara. It totally misses the point of Alan Moore's original story, and I think that I'm all for Alex having epiphanies and emotional development and character development on the show. This wasn't the episode to do it in. And I think that it just diluted actually both her and Kara's emotional journeys in this episode. And I was just I can understand where they were coming from to some degree, but I think it was just really misguided. Then the third thing that I didn't like about the episode was Alex's speech to Kryptonian Google, right? She was like, let me just tell you that I haven't been a good sister and I really want to fix it. And I was like, that's not sentient. It's just a computer program. What are you doing? I don't know. I mean, and it went on for too long. I thought it didn't work. It was kind of tough to sit through. And also Alex is a warrior herself. So, I mean, I thought that her interaction with Astra was much better. For instance, when Astra looked at the photo of Kara and Alex's kids and was like, well, if you're Kara's sister and I'm her aunt, doesn't that make us family? I was like, in some ways, it kind of does, Alex. You know, so I thought that was much more convincing to me than the whole, yelling at an automated program. Then the fourth thing that I didn't like was, I like that Kara has such good friends in Jimmy and Wynn, but they both have romantic feelings towards her. So it's getting a little tiring. Again, I've mentioned this several times before, seeing these lovesick pseudo boyfriends just following her around everywhere, like her entourage. It's like, stop leading them on, Kara, and I think it creates a really messy situation for all of them. It's just a little weird, it's a little awkward. I'd be like, they do know she's never going to date either of them probably, right? I don't know. I mean, I have hope for the Jimmy Olsen relationship, but I mean, he is like, I don't know, he's just making such a mess of it, it might be hard to rebound. So I think that Kara really needs some female friends, besides Alex. Alex is a great friend, but Kara needs some other people to hang out with. She needs a little bit more of a group that doesn't just all want to sleep with her, right? I think it's too weird. So I wanted to bring up something that a number of you have actually commented on before, which I think is fantastic. Where's Miss Martian? Miss Martian was a fantastic character on Young Justice, one of my favorite characters on that series. They did a wonderful job with her, and I think she would be a great friend for Kara. They would have a lot of the same problems because she'd be superpowered, just like John Jones, and it would maybe give David Harewood also a little bit more further development. So I don't want to give anything away about Miss Martian, but Miss Martian is a very interesting character, as anyone who has watched Young Justice knows. So I think she would be a wonderful addition to this show. I saw less Kryptonian stuff, more Martian stuff. I think that would be something they should write on a whiteboard in the writer's room and just always keep looking at it and remind themselves. So then the fifth thing is that, Kara's dad. I really feel bad that Kara doesn't seem to care about her father at all. And you guys have mentioned this before as well. It's fine that the show is a little feminist, and it's nice to see something that has such wonderful female characters that are so diverse and flawed. As I said, I think that Alex and Kat are as much superheroes as Kara. However, I don't think that they should totally always be snubbing the male characters on the show, just making them love interests, just making them a father figure like Martian Manhunter. And then also Kara's dad, her just being like, oh yeah, my dad's here too. What's up, Okay, hey mom, let's get back to what we were talking about. I just feel that, if Kara's supposed to love her family so much, she really should love her whole family. It just makes her a little bit unsympathetic. And also, I just think, I'd be curious to know from male viewers how you feel about that. Because, we always talk about female viewers getting upset about certain things and, it just rubs us the wrong way. And it's like, if only you hadn't have done that. But I think that as, entertainment changes and, they try and move female characters forward, I think you're going to see some of the same unfortunate things happening to male characters. So, the shoes on the other foot. Now, a lot of guys can see how women often feel. So I'm just curious, does that bother you that they don't care about the dad at all? And does make you a little bit more understanding of how women sometimes feel? Because, sometimes, we're accused of nitpicking, being too sensitive. So I'm just curious, on a total honest, non-judgmental fashion, just as a conversation topic, how you feel about it. All right, so that's my review of the latest episode of Supergirl. I'm very curious. I still like the show quite a bit. I'm very curious to see where it goes next. But hopefully, again, we can tone down the Kryptonian stuff. I look forward to continuing the conversation down below, and you can check out some other episodes right now.